Welcome back to the Bold Business Podcast. Today in the studio, the virtual studio, we have Nicola, our incredible human design and astrology reader, and who is an amazing radiance coach as well. We, as we do every season, are breaking down what Libra season now means for us, what we can look forward to, the themes, how you can use this in your life, how you can use this in your business, and what to look out for. So let's dive in. Now, Nicola, I wanted to start off today just with a bit of reflection in terms of where are we at in the zodiac year? Where are we in the context of today? I think one interesting aspect of where we are is that as of yesterday, the 21st of September, we've just experienced the final eclipse of the year. And it was on the South Node in Virgo, in the sign of Virgo, on the new moon, the second new moon of the year in Virgo. And yeah, do you have any reflections? I know we're recording this a little bit before that, so we don't exactly know what it's going to feel like, but do you have any reflections on how eclipse season has been, so far, what you're hearing? What's the word on the street?
I have quite a bit to say about this. So when we were just chatting before we hit record, we were just saying about, this, I feel like this eclipse season has had an even more intense flavor because of the mode of the signs that it is in. So it's falling in these mutable signs, which is already about transition and it's fast paced. And then you add that eclipse energy and pace to it, and it's just felt more intense. So the modes of the signs add their own flavor to each eclipse season. And I think this has felt like a particularly, yeah, intense energy for everybody. Like, there's just been a lot going on. And then add in the fact that we've had two new moons, including an eclipse in Virgo. There's been a lot of emphasis on the Virgo medicine, the Virgo energy.
Mm-hmm.
And this final new moon and this eclipse is in the final degree of Virgo. And this is almost, I would say, like the most potent Virgo energy. So even though we are in Libra season now, like that Virgo, the repercussions, all that energy that we've been through, like we're not just going to leave that behind. We've got to integrate.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel this Libra season is going to help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really about not forgetting the past month, but bringing it forward, integrating it, really looking at that Virgo medicine, especially when it comes to our own well-being. So important. Like, what are our habits, our routines, our rituals that are helping us really calm our nervous system? And then I'd say, as we start talking about the Libra themes, come into balance. Like, this is what we need to do right now.
Well said. Well said. I love that so much because I think that Virgo and Libra, of course, signs that are next to each other do have a lot in common, but they also have a different emphasis. And it's wonderful to see this like transition from this focus on, yeah, excellence, even perfection sometimes, which we have to be careful of, well-being, refinement. And now we're moving into, yeah, this season of, like you said, balance, harmony. There are a lot of synergies there, to use a very
Mm.
corporate term. There's a lot of synergies between Virgo and Libra. And, because most of Virgo season was tumultuous energy, as I like to say, chaos magic, with the eclipse season, I think that finally we do get to, as you say, yeah, integrate what we learned, integrate the Virgo, integrate the lessons of North Node Pisces as well. So I think this is going to be a really interesting new season that we're coming into. Now, from a Northern Hemisphere perspective, we're moving from summer into autumn. And as an autumn baby myself, I'm very excited. I'm like, yes. But I like to look at like the seasonal vibe as well, So summer being more about the blossoming, also relaxation, enjoyment, pleasure, play, mostly. Now we're moving into, it's back to school for anyone with kids or who has been in school themselves. Like September will forever and always be back to school season. If you've gone to college or high school, whatever, you just know that's that season. And so it's this season of kind of getting down to business and getting your ducks in a row, and almost like we have spring cleaning, now we have autumn cleaning, and we're sorting things out, and we're refining and figuring out what's going to stay and what's going to go. So I'm very excited to move into the next cardinal season. Libra is one of, for anyone who's new to astrology, Libra is one of four cardinal seasons that we have throughout the year. And those cardinal signs begin the season. So we
Yeah.
have Libra as the beginning of autumn. And of course, everything kicks off today when we're posting this episode, September 22nd, which is called the autumn equinox, the time when the sun and the light of day is equal to the moon and the light of the night, the deep of the night. And so it's this time of balance. Do you want to talk a little bit more about these Libra themes that we have? The three words we're using in the constellation membership are balance, harmony, and relationships. What do you think about
Yes.
those?
So exactly what you said, like it is Libra season starts at 0 Libra, which is the equinox point. In the
Hmm.
northern hemisphere, it's autumn equinox. And I kind of love that this sign that is the second sign in the zodiac that's ruled by Venus is one of the most beautiful seasons
Hmm.
in the year. It's
Yes.
like if it's spring, obviously that's in the southern hemisphere, it's where the world is coming alive and there's new growth and flowers. And then the autumn, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's when you've got this riot of colors where nature really shows off. Like it's the most beautiful colors as the leaves change on the
Yes.
trees.
Yes.
It is stunning. So it's a huge incentive to get out into nature at this time of the year.
Hmm.
And we start, yes, it's a cardinal sign, which means we're looking ahead, we're casting our vision for the new season. So it's very much about looking into the future. But before we look into the future, before we move into the future, we're at this equilibrium point, this balance point, this, like you said, equal day, equal night. And I really feel like this is such a invitation to pause, to come into stillness and to reflect before we move in to those visions in the future. Like we really like it's a time to kind of have a moment of inner contemplation and reflection
Hmm.
before we just rush ahead, because like we've been saying, we can't just leave behind what we've just been through. We need to
Hmm.
integrate.
Yes.
And I think that is, yeah, that is the Libra medicine, is that balance. And what does balance look like to us?
Hmm.
Like balance, you know, it looks different in every season.
Yes.
So what do we need right now to come into center?
Yes. I love that so much. I think, balance and harmony, like as the kind of the two main things, are similar but different. Like on one
Mm,
hand, finding balance in your life could look like looking at your schedule and your time, right? Is it imbalanced? Like you're spending all your time doing this and none of your time doing that, right? You can look at that. You can look at relationships as well. Well, relationships is the third theme, but you can also look at balance in relationships. You can look in balance, in terms of your emotional life. You could look at balance in terms of your checkbook, right? Well, people don't have checkbooks anymore, do they? They're, I'm showing my millennial age. But balance in your finances. So, we're going to talk in a few minutes about how to make it personal to you, but look at, what that balance is. Now, the second theme of harmony, I find even more interesting because I think that harmony sometimes doesn't require balance, but it is this coming together and this harmonizing, this rightness, this alignment that happens when you're on the right path, or something is just right for you. So this is a really great time. Autumn is a time of refinement. So it's this time of saying, okay, I I'm choosing what stays and what goes. And we do this, the reason for this is because it's physically happening with the harvest. So we have this harvest time period. Like I'm already thinking and planning about when can we go apple picking with my son? When can we go to the pumpkin patch? Like when can we do these things? You know, it's harvest season and oh, I love it. It's sweater weather, you know, all the things. Like I'm lucky enough to live in Europe. So it's very classic seasons, you know. So, you know, we're thinking about, okay, the fullness of summer is now yielding all this fruit and vegetables and this food and this nourishment for us. And now we got to pick and decide what we're going to do with it. Right. So it's like I'm watching videos of people like doing canning, right? It's like we're going to preserve some of what we've harvested for later, for hard times. And then we're also going to cook up some of what we have. We're going to celebrate. We're going to decorate with it. You know, it's like really thinking about this, the harvest and how we can kind of harmonize and bring together everything that we're doing and creating into a deeper alignment, I think is another beautiful aspect of Libra. And then the third one, a theme here is relationships. And this is for a reason, right? So Libra loves to focus on us, on we, which is opposite from Aries, right? Aries is its opposite. Aries is all about me, my needs, my desires, what I want. It's very directional. It's very motivated. Libra is about, okay, but what's good for us? What's the compromise? How can we all find harmony? How can we all be happy? How can we balance what you need and what I need and find something in the middle? So Libra, you know, when in my archetype system is all about, I call it the diplomat. And so they're all about those relationships, very good at bringing people together. So inevitably, everyone listening is likely going to feel a desire to focus on the quality of their relationships, noticing what is working and noticing what isn't working and noticing what may be missing in their friendship circle and also in romantic relationships. This is a season for doing that, absolutely, because we're not here to do it alone. And I think Libra really reminds us of that.
Yeah. But I think you can even bring in, if you bring in those two words, like this two themes, harmony and relationship, I think a big driver for Libra is harmonious relationships.
Yes.
So those things actually blend so nicely together. And I think it also brings forward the high and low expression that we can potentially come across with Libra. So are you pursuing harmony in your relationships, you know, above all else and sweeping things under the rug because you just want everybody to get along?
Which is a Libra thing, right? It's like, oh my gosh, harmony at the, you know, at the expense of your own needs. So you have to be careful. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're maybe, you know, patching over the cracks a little bit. Whereas I think with Virgo would never patch over the cracks. Virgo is like, I'm gonna fix that crack.
Yeah.
Libra is like, no, let's just make it look nice. But you know, what's happening in the foundations?
Yeah. We don't like conflict.
Exactly. But harmony, and I think another, you know, another aspect of Libra that's important is truth and justice and alignment. And is this harmony actually, you know, am I actually in alignment with my spirit? And eventually, if you're not, those things, you're going to bump up against those things because, again, when we look at that Aries Libra relationship, what Aries brings to the table is it brings up the boundaries that we need to honor the truth that Libra really desires. Like ultimately, you know, we want, yeah, authenticity and truth in our
Yes.
hearts and in our relationships.
That's very true. And Libra is, you know, in its highest expression, it cares a lot, like you said, about truth, or we could say alignment or values. Like it really
Mhm.
cares about, you know, are you doing what's right and in alignment with yourself? Another aspect of that high expression Libra would be fairness. Like you said,
Mhm.
justice or fairness. And yes, oh, show us the card, Nicola. So for those of you who can see the video, Nicola's sharing the justice card in the tarot. So tell us more about that and Libra.
Well, so this is the card in the major arcana that everybody kind of associates with Libra. And it's
Yes.
because Libra, we haven't actually spoken about the symbol for Libra, but it is the scales of justice.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because it is the one glyph in the zodiac that is a non-living glyph. And I'm like, that is really interesting considering like this is this
The
sign of
relationship one.
relationship.
I know, I know. Yes. It's like keep a cool head in your relationships.
Exactly. And again, cool head, like we're in an air sign. So even though we're talking about relationships, like there's this element of like the mind and, our thoughts.
Yes.
And, that's what we're bringing in connection through the mind and communication and all those elements.
Mhm.
So it's not even just that we're talking about romantic relationships and partnerships here. We are just talking about coming into a collective space,
Mhm.
coming into collaboration. We are, and that's where the justice card comes in. It's very humanitarian. It's like what is fair, and we are concerned with the collective, not just ourselves now.
Mhm. Yes,
Mm.
absolutely. And one thing when I talk about, Libra will express itself differently depending on where you have it in your chart and what planets are in Libra. And when you think of, for people who have Libra midheaven or Libra MC, I mentioned earlier, they're the archetype of the diplomat. That's Libra in an elevated leadership position. And when Libra's in a leadership position, it really does become not only the diplomat, but also the activist, because they're willing to swing the sword. That's one thing about the justice card, right? The justice card, the figure is sitting on basically like a throne, and they have the scales in one hand usually, and they have a sword in the other, and they have these pillars behind with a veil. And so it's this idea of like, yes, I'm going to weigh up and measure, how, what's right and wrong here, what's just and unjust. And then I also have a sword, so I'm willing to swing it. And I think sometimes, in pop astrology, we lose this activist, very fierce side of Libra that's actually, very calculating and very much cares about whether something is right or wrong and cares about that sense of justice and is willing to swing the sword.
Exactly. And I think actually this justice card is what links Aries as the warrior with
Mm.
Libra,
Hmm.
because it's like when these two energies come together, which is what I think it's all about when with opposites, it's integration.
Hmm.
It's like we're willing to be the warrior for the collective, not just ourselves. It is
Yes.
like bringing justice and, like you said, activism, and it's got this beautiful integration with all those themes. And if we even bring it into like the living sky and the constellations and then the myths of Virgo and Libra, I think it's so interesting that the one of the myths is, it brings in both these signs. So Estrella,
Yes.
who was the goddess of innocence and purity, is represented by the constellation Virgo. And in the sky, when Estrella is sent up to the heavens because she can no longer live amidst all the chaos and destruction happening out, in the world,
Hmm.
she gets sent to the heavens and she holds the scales. Which is the constellation of Libra,
Libra. Hmm.
to help her kind of, remain in place and protect her purity and her innocence until the time when the conditions are right again, where she can come back to the world. So there's this beautiful link between, this constellations and purity being protected by justice, which
Hmm.
I love.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really wonderful connection between like what Virgo is known for and what Libra is known for. And in that story, I don't know if it's exactly connected, but it sounds very much similar to like the story of Persephone as well.
Mm,
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. So we talked a little bit about some of the especially high expression of Libra, relationships, prioritizing peace and harmony, being willing to fight for the collective, fighting for us, understanding justice and values and right and wrong. Um, what about the low expressions? We should probably talk about that a little bit more. I think you mentioned a couple earlier, but
Yeah.
yeah, people love to make fun of Libras for the low
Yeah.
expressions, but it's so important to understand them so you can see them, recognize them, and grow, right?
Exactly. And just to bring in a bit of the personal into this, so I have my South Node in Libra in the third house, and we can talk about what the gifts of that looks like because,
Yes.
there are definite advantages.
Hmm.
But there, especially with the South Node, there can be where some of the low expressions come out. So it is, it is people pleasing, it is avoiding conflict. If you think I've got my South Node in Libra, my North Node is in Aries, like, I need to be not yeah,
We
I
need
need
to
to
be actually embracing conflict when it's needed, right? With the North Node in Aries. Anyone who, has the South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries, by the way, has just, this year finished their nodal return, right? So that was a big moment of transition for us. That's another whole podcast. But yeah, we've all collectively been learning how to head towards, being willing to enter conflict when necessary and not running away from standing up for what we believe. So yeah, that is a low expression Libra thing, isn't it? Kind of being a pushover.
yeah. So don't, like, even though you want everyone to be happy, like, don't pretend things are okay when they're not.
Yeah.
Another low expression, which actually I think again relates to the gift of, I think there is a gift in terms of, being able to communicate, to be able to use your skills to, be charming and get what you want.
Yes.
But at the
They're
same,
extremely charming. If I may say, Libras are the most charming sign of the zodiac. I know Gemini's gonna fight me for that one, and maybe Sagittarius as well, but I'm calling it. It's Libra.
yeah, exactly. So you got to watch out to not use all those gifts to manipulate, right? That's
Yes.
that's
Yes.
potential
Yes.
low expression.
I love this so much. Wait, I need to look at my celebrity list while you're talking about this and
Do
give
it,
some
please. I want
examples.
to, I want
Go
to, I
ahead.
want to know. And then the other thing is, like, when we're talking about justice and fairness and equality, it's like also not to get so obsessed with that we forget that, like, diversity and polarity and things being different is also the spice of life. Like, we
Mhm.
want, it creates the spark when we've got opposites, and equality doesn't mean, and fairness doesn't mean everything has to be the same, because then
Mhm.
that's quite boring.
Mhm.
And I think, especially in the world we live in, I think, how can we celebrate differences of opinion and differences of ideas rather than always feeling like we've got to be homogenized
Yeah.
in how we think? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Absolutely. What about the age-old criticism of Libra of being indecisive? Is there anything
Oh,
you want to
okay.
say about
Yes, yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah.
So what Libra's really good at is seeing all the sides of
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
because they can see all these different things, they want to weigh up all the options. Like, again, weighing up the scales, it all
Mhm.
ties in.
Yep.
Which means sometimes it can feel like they're dithering because they're like looking at this, then they're looking at that, rather than just being decisive. That's very much more Aries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's about, you can be considered, but let it not fall into indecision
Mm-hmm.
either, because I think the medicine here is to know that you can change your mind, but you still want to be moving forward.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stuck
Yeah.
in looking at all the options forever and a day.
Exactly. I feel like when we're talking about the low and the high expression of all these signs, it's always a spectrum, right? You can have too much of a good thing or not
Mm.
enough of it. So if you are listening to this and you've got a lot of Libra in your chart and you notice that you do the people pleasing side of it, just remind before we get the whip out, to let's just remind ourselves of the gifts in that as well, is that you are very good at understanding people and finding common ground and at creating peace, and that's a gift as well. So yes, you can have too much of a good thing, but don't be down on yourself for the things that actually can make you very successful in your life and in your relationships.
Yeah, and when it comes to like decision making, which is such a big topic for people who are running their own businesses, because
Yes.
we are constantly in, as leaders, we need to make
Hmm.
decisions.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at the human design system and bringing that in, like decision making is never something that happens in the mind. And obviously, like Libra is an air mind
Yes.
sign, so we can get stuck in the mind.
Hmm.
But interestingly, in human design, like most of the gates activated are in the spleen, and that's
Yes.
body-based wisdom.
Hmm.
So it's like that's where the decision making comes from, is like that intuitive knowing
Yes.
that we have.
I love that, like Libra, as you said, is pretty much almost all in the spleen, except for
Mm.
gate 46, where the sun is going to be at the time that we release this podcast, which is, in the identity center, the gate of determination, which is part Virgo, part Libra. And it's interesting because like that's it's a little bit rare in human design. Like Gemini is also like that. Gemini is pretty much all the gates are in the throat. But when you see that concentration, oh wow, that's a real huge theme of that zodiac sign. Like you said, it's intuition, it's instinct, it's body-based wisdom.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not just weighing up the scales in the mind, it's like feeling it in the body and tapping into what you truly know to be right in this situation.
Your truth,
Your
your
truth.
truth,
Hmm.
your truth. That's the compass. It's like
Exactly.
keep coming back to that. It's not about the mind. It's like,
Mm-mm.
what do you know? What's
Yeah.
in alignment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. So I wanted to share a little bit. You talked about your Libra in the third house. Is there anything else you want to say about that and how you see that coming through in your life so people can be inspired to kind of look into their own charts as well?
Well, I think definitely what you want to be looking at is like what house do you have Libra in, and then looking at the placements for that, because we
Mhm.
sometimes forget that we are more than our sun sign. And
Yes.
obviously, that is such a major part of our astrology, but we
Yes.
all have each archetype in us somewhere.
Yes.
So you can look there for yourself. And I think, looking at your placement, Rachel, is going to be very interesting because it's such a
Yes.
major one.
Yes.
But for me, South Node, third house, I think it reminds me that we also need to look at the gifts that we have when we're looking at the South Node.
Mhm.
South Node's like all negative, you know what I mean? It's not all
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
comfort zones and things we need to leave behind. No, it's also like what gifts have we got that we need to embrace, that we have brought with us into this
Hmm.
lifetime?
Hmm.
And I think for me, in the third house, it's definitely communication. I think like I definitely have a natural proclivity towards being able to write, being
Hmm.
able to
Definitely.
speak, those things.
Beautiful words. I mean, your content, can I just say, is like so it's art, right? Like you really treat your content like art, whereas I'm happy to, slap together a video without makeup in the dark. It's like, I will do that, because I'm just like I'm more just wanting to get the message out. But I love how beautiful and your content really evokes so much feeling and sensibility to it, and it's beautiful. And you're a photographer by trade as well, so it's coming through so lovely. Yeah.
And exactly what you said, I do see all these expressions as art forms. So
Hmm.
for me, it's like, and I think that is that aspect of Libra as well, is the art forms are so Libra, right? The higher
Hmm.
art forms. So yeah, for me, that's where I really resonate with that. Yeah, but let's speak about you.
Let's talk about me. So yes, I also have Libra South Node, but my South Node is in the eighth house, and then also my Sun is in Libra as well in the eighth house too. So all my Libra energy is eighth house energy, and I want to say a couple of things about that. So, and also I'd love to hear, Nicola, as I'm describing this, if you see this in me because you worked so closely with me for so long. You were a client before and now a collaborator. So it's interesting. It's one of the first things I started looking at when I started learning astrology. The first thing was the moon. That was my entry point to astrology, was understanding the moon phases and moon cycles. And thanks to Jennifer Rassiopi, an amazing astrologer who I got to, learn from at the very start of my journey back in like 2016. But then very quickly after that, it was, where is your sun? Right? Which house and what sign is your sun in? There was a big emphasis on sun sign astrology, especially then as well. And so I discovering my sun was in Libra in the eighth house. So many things I was reading online were like, oh, that's a curse, like yeah, that's bad.
We
You're
don't
not.
believe in that here, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, exactly. Like you're gonna die a violent death, like all this stuff. You're gonna be through so much suffering. I was like, oh my good God, like this is crazy. But slowly through digging through the sensationalism and the oversimplification of these placements, I started to learn more and refine my understanding of astrology, and I started to find my people and to realize there's a whole club. It's called the Eighth House Club, and we love it here, and we understand it, and we see the power in this placement. So anyone else who has their sun in the eighth house, I just want you to know you are part of an elite, wonderful club of people with your sun in the eighth house. And it just means that you are someone who, you're going to learn a lot in life through transformation and through power dynamics and interchanges with other people. And that's how you change and transform. And it's really true. It's definitely been true for me in my life. It's like I have to learn through those relationships, whether it's a friendship that's not right for me. I've had a lot of very intense and interesting friendships that I've grown massively through, right? And then or a romantic relationship or a work relationship, et cetera, is that you're going to learn so much about yourself through the power and the imbalances of power that you experience. And ultimately, what you learn and what you end up mastering is, becoming someone who is empowered in themselves and being able to empower others as well. So the eighth house is a very interesting house. If you do have Libra in the eighth, you're also in a rest season. So I want to let you know that in the constellation membership, we talk about the different cosmic seasons. There's a system that I've created to help people understand this so you can harness the energy to your advantage. The eighth house is one of the 3 rest seasons because transformation is really tiring. So that's a little bit about my experience with this. Do you see, and so yes, I am a Libra and I think people definitely see that, but I also have a bit of this scorpionic edge to me. And I think that part of that is the sun and the south node in the eighth house. Do you see any of that in me, Nicola? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so having seen the branding for your new program,
Yes. The journey.
The Journey, I feel like that image that you chose, which is Rachel standing in front of the pyramids,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you want to give context for that
Yes,
photo.
I would love to. Yes. So
Hmm.
you can't see the whole thing in all of the videos, or in all of the pictures, but yeah, I'm standing in front, I'm looking at the camera, and I'm holding my belly. You can't necessarily see that in all of the promo, but this was on my 33rd birthday. I was in Egypt at the pyramids on my birthday, and I had just found out like a week earlier that I was surprise pregnant. It was not planned. I was like, oh my goodness, here is this new stage of my life. I knew I wanted my baby and didn't know what it was going to mean. Hadn't told my family, hadn't told anyone, hadn't told the father, anyone. And so it was really this moment of deep trust in myself and in the universe that I was going to be okay and I was going to figure this out. And so that image means so much to me. Yeah.
And this image, if you can imagine, it's taken in Libra season because
Yes.
it's Rachel's birthday.
Mhm.
And I just love the poignancy of the fact that it's like this transition moment,
Yes.
of like this new phase, like you're coming into motherhood,
Yes.
which is, a death and rebirth moment for
Oh
yourself
yeah,
individually.
massively.
And obviously there is birth coming of
Yes.
baby.
He is here
And
now.
and and
Yeah.
and
Five
and
years
I
later,
feel,
he's
and if I
here.
just think about your story and how that catalyzed so much for you in terms of like the transformation that you then went through
Yeah.
from this moment,
Yeah.
just in your personal life, but your business, your
Mhm.
career.
Yeah. That's when I
Like,
decided to leave my job. I was like, oh, well, we're moving the timeline up. because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I hope I leave my job in the next 5 years. Maybe I'll make director and then I'll do this and that. No, no, I was like, oh, okay, after maternity leave, like during maternity leave, I'm not coming back. That's it. I need to make this business work. So yeah, it was the clarity that started to come from this massive change was like, oh, okay, here's my path now.
Yeah. So that's what I see. Like I see like these transition moments being like almost they catalyze the transformations. This is very eighth house. It's like what came first? We don't know. Like it's all just
Yeah.
this
It's a
magical.
melange of
Yeah, exactly.
intensity, but
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
yeah, wouldn't change it for the world.
Mm.
I love it. Oh, so yes, everyone listening, like please, look at your chart and figure out what house Libra is in. If it's touching one of your four angles, it's very significant. But what house is it in? What are the themes of that house? Because that's exactly where the sun and, other planets that are moving into Libra as well are going to be activating you this season. And I think we should close on a couple of key dates. So looking ahead, how can you harness this energy of balance, harmony, relationships, justice, for yourself? Okay, so a couple key dates. We have a full moon in Aries on October 6th. So that's really big. Of course, as I already said, Libra season begins on the 22nd on the autumn equinox. So that is something to celebrate. It's sweater weather and PSLs over here in my house. So I can't wait. I haven't had my first pumpkin spice latte yet, but it's coming. Okay. True autumn vibes. So the full moon in Aries on October 6th is happening in the gate of the hunter, which is part of the money line. This is going to be something really exciting to look forward to. A sense, a slice of Aries in the midst of Libra to say, hey, don't forget to be very clear about what it is you're hunting, what it is you're seeking, the resources that you need to get what you want to do done. So there's some money emphasis right there in the middle. And then we have the new moon, a classic, new moon in Libra, which is on my birthday, October 21st. So that's going to be birthday week. I'm going to talk about it. We're going to do a special thing then. But that new moon is a beautiful moment for setting your very Libra intentions right before the end of the season and saying, all right, I've got the clarity. I've integrated everything from eclipse season. I know my path. Now, what are my wishes and intentions for my relationships and harmony in my life going forward? And setting some powerful intentions and taking that moment. The final thing to mention is the following day, the first day of Scorpio season, is when Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces. So it's going to be back in Pisces until January 26th of next year. And so this is part of what we've been calling here at Cosmic Queen the autumn encore. So we needed to call this out and mention this because the autumn encore, this year has been crazy. We've had some big astrology this year, some big ingresses, which just means a sign, a planet has moved into a new sign. But it's a big deal for Neptune because Neptune has been like 14 years in Pisces, just moved into Aries, and now it's going back into Pisces again for a few months. It's like an encore to say, hey, have you learned the lessons of the last 14 years? Have you looked at your emotional and spiritual health? And are you okay? Is there anything you need in order to set healthy boundaries, feel truly connected to your spiritual life, your path, and the people around you, and to prioritize love and kindness in your life? Like that's the Pisces high expression, right? So that is happening at the very end of Libra season as we launch into Scorpio. So there are a few dates for your diary there. Anything you wanna say about that, Nicola?
Yeah, I think with this retrograde, it's just like unfinished business,
Yeah,
So
yeah. Unfinished business.
so it's like this is a good opportunity, and that's how we've got to see it. It's like we are giving another chance to make sure we're like ready for what's coming. So
Yes.
let's make sure we are doing that work.
Mhm.
I think also just touching on that whole Pisces Virgo axis again, it's like especially when things are feeling pretty chaotic right now, it's making sure you take care of your spiritual well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being. So taking like spiritual hygiene breaks when
Hmm.
you need to, and it just all feels too much. Like
Yes.
come back into center, especially Libra season, like come back into balance,
Yes.
harmony with yourself.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, in a year like this, where there's a lot being kind of thrown in the, I think of it almost like a puzzle that's like being thrown in the air. We do need to take those moments and those breaths to say, like you said, come back to center and say, okay, where are the pieces falling now? And
Mm.
that's exactly what these, yeah, retrogrades and Libra season are asking us to do. So I would like to call this a classic Libra season. We are deeming this a classic Libra season, a moment for pause, reflection, taking a breath, and refining what we are doing. So, very much looking forward to it. Thank you, Nicola, as always, for joining me in this exploration of Libra. I love these conversations. I think they're so rich and so useful, as we are recalibrating ourselves for the next season. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. We love you, everyone, and we hope you have a beautiful Libra season. Bye.